Moving on to benevolent sexism, here we will talk about the changing dynamics of visual media and benevolent sexism. How benevolent sexism has acted and reacted in these TV series and soap operas of Indian television. We'll also be taking into consideration ambivalent sexism and the theories around it, because it is very significant to locate these devices as we study. These are the centralities of these soap serials that we will be looking into. To begin with the introduction, popular visual culture in the context of hidden or benevolent sexism in India can be characterized, including these several issues. One is stereotyping. So, under benevolent sexism, we first see how visual culture is in and around stereotyping women. It reinforces gender convention portraying men and women in traditional gender roles. So, women will be shown as wife, mother, daughter. Males will be shown as son, husband, brother, father, etc., and perpetuating harmful attitudes towards women. Most of the traditional gender roles played by men will be brought in such a way that it shows the kind of biasness the society holds towards the women. Example, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. This stereotyping brings us to Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, and here itself in the name we see Saas and Bahu. This Saas was once a Bahu, so the daughter-in-law will one day become the what we call as mother-in-law, and now who is the mother-in-law was once a daughter-in-law. So the role, the traditional gender roles is still happening, and it is very much evident even in the title. Now, second is objectification. Other than stereotyping, we have objectification, where we see physical appearance and primarily valued for their looks. So, women are objectified and they are only valued for their looks. If we compare Komolika in Kasauti Zindagi Ki to Balika Vadhu, Komolika is the vamp in Kasauti Zindagi Ki, and she is a very modern woman, as it has been shown, as compared to the other females in this show. So, a modern woman who is non-conforming is someone who cannot be situated in the traditional role. So, most of the characters or most of the protagonists, especially female characters, are shown to be conforming to the traditional roles of the society. And then there is Balika Vadhu, where it is about child marriage, and since the girl is also a kid, she undergoes verbal abuse, at times physical abuse, being punished for things she doesn't know about. So, primarily it situates on the physical appearance, how they have been objectified. They have been said that you are meant for this work. Women are meant to please men. Women are meant to take care of the family, etc. Lack of diversity. So, in the characters, we don't see any diversity. In all the serials, the profession might change. In one might be a journalist, the main character. In another, she could be a doctor. In yet another, she could be a police officer. But still, the way it is brought in, even the profession is not changing anything about this woman. That is what is this lack of diversity talking about. Underrepresented or misrepresented, mostly underrepresented. Even people, characters with decent professions, like as I mentioned, doctor or lawyer, they still are struggling with their family lives. That is how it has been shown. Struggling to balance, yet making a good effort to balance, whereas there is no talk about it regarding men. Violence. So, how violence has been treated is very interesting. They say gender-based violence and normalizing toxic masculinity. So, people like Arnab Singh Raizada in Is Pyar Ko Kya Naam Do is a typical example of toxic masculinity. He, in order to show some sort of love or romance, to intensify the romance, he is always pulling the protagonist from nook and corners, and that pull is not like a very soft simple pull, it is quite aggressive in nature, and he will push her against the wall every now and then, and this is how they justify that they are promoting or they are showcasing intense romance or love, which is a sign of toxic masculinity. Sexist language and dialogues. This is across soaps and series which are evidently present, reinforce sexist and discriminatory attitudes, perpetuating harmful gender stereotyping. Example, you use to say a man uses a certain kind of a dialogue and says that it is difficult, you will not be able to do it. So, it is difficult, therefore you won't be able to do it, is indicating that you are a woman and therefore you won't be able to do it. It is heavy, you won't be able to lift it. So, it is not coming from a place of concern, it is coming from a place of intimidation. It is coming from a place of showing the individual that she will not be able to do it. So, this is repeatedly placed in certain scenarios and events in the episodes. One prime example is औरत का काम सिर्फ घर संभालना है. This can be again a repeated sexist language or dialogue used in Diya Aur Bati Hum, where the woman, where the protagonist intends to become an IPS. Double standards, where men are often shown as powerful and assertive, where women are depicted as submissive and meek. Most of the time, women are shown to be meek. In Pavitra Rishta, we see the protagonist, Archana, to be always seeking for Manav. She cannot take decisions on her own. She always gets agitated from small events that are going around. So, it shows that how they don't assert for things. They are shown to be very submissive and meek. But on the contrary, the male counterpart is shown powerful even if they are coming from a middle class family, and also assertive at the same time. Social impact. What is the social impact of this? Most often we see, by challenging stereotypes, promoting diversity, raising awareness and social issues, featuring positive role models, providing platform for critique, popular visual culture can help to inspire change and promote a more just, equitable society. So, we see a social impact which is bound to happen, but only if they do not situate the scenarios, the events in the manners that they have been doing. Diversity is getting promoted through basing it in different cultures in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, etc. They are also trying to raise awareness through Balika Vadhu. They are talking about social issues, featuring positive role models like in Bidai, and then they are providing a platform for critiquing. These are the platforms to critique popular visual culture, can help in inspiring change. But the problem lies with the kind of representation that they are doing. When we talk about this violence based or gender based violence, this toxic masculinity, if it is still celebrated, we know that it is a toxic masculinity trait. Why is it being celebrated? So these are the questions which linger in and around TV series, soaps and web series as well. How media further discriminates. So mass media reinforces predominant perceptions advertently or inadvertently, as media content is mainly produced with cues from culture and societies deep rooted in bigotry. So wherever we see the influence coming in, it is through the culture. So whatever is there in the culture, basically they draw it from there and maybe also enhance it. We know that our culture and the society is still deep rooted in bigotry. So taking in those cues, they still kind of advertise it, produce it in that way. Sexism in contemporary times can be seen as ingrained culture. Now, sexism has become a very integral part of our culture. Maybe it was there, but it was not out loud in cinema or in visual culture or visual mediums. But now it is shown without any filter as to what sexism means. But how to counter sexism is still to be decided, or it's still to be shown in uh, TV series, soaps, etc. With typical representment across communication media. India has overall overkill of peculiar gender related adversities. So, India being diverse, it is diverse in many other aspects also, other than culture, language, or ethnicity. It says that India has an overkill of peculiar gender related adversities that they are facing. It is not just one, but many, muddled together in male chauvinist cultures propagated and sustained. So the problem is that it has been propagated and sustained by mass and new media presentations. So that was what I was referring to. If you are out loud discussing sexism, why are you not discussing how to eradicate it? Why are you not discussing how to remove it? That is more essential, and that will do more good than just showing sexism out loud. Critical perspectives on gender representation and in India media and overview. Now, two important portrayals other than series that we see is cartoons and how they bring in, and also films, how they bring in these gender representation in Indian media, and how again these gender stereotypes is ingrained even in cartoons. It is catering to the what we call as kids, but even then we see its dominance very much out loud and clear. Cartoons often perpetuate gender stereotypes, depicting women as inferior, relegated to household chores, while portraying men as powerful and superior. Example is Chhota Bheem. Now, as kids, we all have an idea how cartoons used to be, right? But with changing of time, we see more of Indian cartoons coming in. And one such is Chhota Bheem. In Chhota Bheem, we see Chutki as a character who is a female, friends with Chhota Bheem, who's the protagonist. And often when they are traveling or they are going on for a picnic or a tour, she is the one who is always packing food for everyone. This also shows that women have this kind of nurturing, caring, uh, inbuilt nature. But what about men? Bhim is all about showcasing his power and all of his other friends as well. What does it talk about? As children, females will think that this is our job to cater to the needs of our friends or our family, to take care of them. But it's not only the job of the female, it is also meant for men. Now, this again is not something about uh, the disparity. Men can also learn if they have not learned. They can unlearn many things and can learn about certain things which are portrayed in such cartoons. Now, Disney pedagogy is widely studied, and Disney's pedagogy was to instill some sort of behavior in the growing up generations. Now we see what kind of Disney stories that we have read. So we have read Cinderella, we have read Snow White, we have read other stories, or we have watched Cinderella and Snow White kind of fantasy fairy tales. All of them talking about a single thing, that they are waiting for a prince to come and save their lives or change their lives. They themselves cannot change. They are not assertive. They might be very good natured women. If students are taught Cinderella and Snow White from childhood in school as a pedagogy, what kind of conforming nature they will have when they grow up. This is what is questioning. Same thing with the cartoon. These portrayals not only reinforce traditional gender roles, that is women being more caring as compared to men, but can also shape characters' sexual orientation based on the customs associated with their roles in the cartoon series. So, most often we see that the character's sexual orientation is heteronormative. We never come across characters, especially in cartoons, to be representing queerness, and therefore the children who will be watching, they will be unaware of something called queerness, and when they grow up it will result in some sort of homophobia or queer phobia, etc. Now, benevolent sexism in the Indian popular visual medium, we see that the term benevolent is associated more with being charitable in nature, but not in a way that you should improve, right? They are sympathetic towards you, but they don't want you to improve. More, so how is it getting situated in sexism? The contemporary media malady of benevolent sexism that masquerades in myriad forms. What are those forms? Romantic or protective paternalism. So, a partner who is very romantic, we might think that, oh, this is the one who is meant to be. But the way that person produces romance or brings in protective paternalism is more of benevolence than uh, doing it out of love, doing it out of because that person wants to do it for you. Now, discussing benevolent sexism, being charitable but not profit making is the definition of benevolent. Now, situating it in sexism, calling it benevolent sexism, there are two forms that is drawn from contemporary media. One is romantic, or other is protective paternalism. So, if you have a partner, they either are romantic or protective, or they could be both. They are romantic as well as protective paternalism. But why is it seen as a problem? Now, trying to understand benevolent sexism in popular visual media, we need to have examples from certain series or soaps in order to further understand. Now, first we see that it can be predominantly portrayed through agency of women as male dependent victims. Women's agency is shown that they are dependent on men, and it is okay to be dependent on men. Of course, it is okay to be dependent on men for certain things, but not for everything, right? Where is the woman's agency? It is very limited because she is entirely dependent on the male and therefore a victim. Pavitra Rishta is one example where we see Archana always looking for Manav's support. Women idealization. Now, women in portrayals of visual media is often seen as ideal, and even if they have what we call as a job, Sandhya being an IPS in Diya Aur Bati Hum, she still has to balance the house along with her job, and that is seen as an ideal woman. Oh, you are an ideal woman, you are balancing both home and office. It is again a problem in a way that you are uh, celebrating women being very ideal who can balance their families. It is not just a duty of women, it is the duty of every other individual. Gender policing and punishes those who go against it. Now, what is this gender policing? Rewards women who conforms to traditional gender norms, and in a way punishes those who do not. Now, the protagonist will always be like chaste and little bit maybe docile as well, and we see that they are rewarded by she gets to marry the man of her dreams, the protagonist, or she might be someone like Sandhya, who will, since she is an ideal woman, she will get to become the IPS officer. But on the contrary, non-conforming characters such as Meenakshi is the other member of the family of Sandhya's in-laws, and she is always scheming, some conceit, some conspiracy, and then she immediately gets punished in small ways throughout the series. And therefore we see that since she does not conform to the norms of the gender policing norms, to be very docile, to be very submissive in nature, she is called non-conforming or bad also, or even evil for that matter. Heterosexual intimacy again contributes to gender inequality by promoting to gender role structures that promise security within relationship. Uh, how heterosexual intimacy is brought in these serials is through the woman who's being a very good wife, who is conforming to the traditional value systems of the house, and that is how she establishes what is called heterosexual intimacy. Then comes objectification and dehumanization, which is seen in the character of Gopi in Saath Nibhana Satya. Gopi is an illiterate girl married to a businessman, a business family, and the mother-in-law, which is Kokila, is always after her. She's always scolding her, punishing her, reprimanding her, and not just she, the husband also is of the similar nature. He's always kind of very sarcastic because she doesn't know things. It is not that she doesn't want to learn, it is that she has never been taught about it. She is presented as someone very stupid or like an idiot, and therefore the objectification and dehumanization of women. Sexual intimidation that includes stalking, sexual assaults and relationship violence. We see this sexual intimidation which can be seen in serials like Pratigya, where the husband, who is also the protagonist, is like is a man lurking around in the streets in a jeep and has that kind of goon kind of an attitude, and he is kind of stalking Pratigya. And it also talks about the relationship violence, sexual assaults in if not in the characters of the protagonist, but in the supporting characters, but it is evidently there. So we have some examples of the point that we just discussed. One is located in Ye Hai Mohabbatein, and we see how the character, the protagonist, is always shouting on the lady, and there is no relevance that comes out of it, that she tries to stop the kind of behavior, but uh, the protagonist having such kind of behavior gives the general public also the thought that the characters are flawed. Of course, the characters are flawed, but how are you trying to stop or trying to correct that kind of behavior is more important to draw from here. Another example is Pehredar Piyaki. So, in this series, a small boy who marries a teenager, and their relationship is shown as boy does not know what he is doing, but he is inappropriately touching the woman. It also underwent a lot of backlash as to how the representation has been. So, when we are talking about benevolent sexism, there are no boundaries or lines where people need to stop, or how the characters should be designed around it. Another point, complementary gender differentiation that prescribes gender roles for women refers to the notion that men and women have inherently different but complementary roles, often reinforcing traditional gender norms. Though they call it complementary gender differentiation, we see that men are often seen to be taking the decisions, shown as supporting husband, and women on the other hand are never going out of the tropes of sacrificial wife, a good daughter-in-law. So the tropes for women remain same, whereas for husband it becomes from decision maker to supporting husband. The analysis. So what does it say about benevolent sexism that we just read? It says that the Indian audience is a conglomerate in terms of culture. It is a mix, and globalization, media proliferation, resonance of Western thoughts and actions in this conservative but evolving democracy is bringing in those together. Sexism was rampant. Sexist dialogues, explicit notions were abundant in all languages in Indian visual narrative. So it has been similar in all regional languages as well. It's not something very different from the mainstream that we see or witness. Another important thing is that they take a lot of influence from films like Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, where the boy is stalking the woman and that is seen to be okay. Hasina Maan Jayegi, where the title itself that the beautiful girl will one day agree. Why will she? Dulhan hum le jayenge, either by force or maybe by permission, we will anyways take the bride. Mere brother ki dulhan, my brother's bride, Humpty Sharma ki dulhania. Humpty Sharma is a person and Humpty Sharma is bride. Again, Badrinath ki dulhania, Badrinath's wife. So it is all signaling about the male. There is no explanation to why the names of women are missing. So how misogynistic maneuvers have been presented through these films, through which they also take in other forms of media culture representation, is very evident. We can see and locate it. Using the same songs in order to woo the girls in the series, in the soaps and serials, say uh, falling into the same traps of sexism again and again. So that's what one part of analysis tells us about. The other one says that it is hailed and accepted. So widely accepted, widely hailed. People are in large numbers going and watching films like Arjun Reddy, watching films like Animal, and then it is in a way seems to be more accepted by the wider public. We also see that in contemporary times, a lot of backlash comes in because of the intervention of social media, and these social media in a way act as a tool to fight back these acceptances of sexism or misogyny. The latest wave of feminism that has taken the digital route, activism against gender discrimination, and an increase in awareness. Abundance of covert benevolent sexism is produced, and it is also reproduced in these series or media representations.